I know that this happened back in January 2020, but back then, Sony announced that the first place winner of Game of the Decade award is The Last of Us. This came as a shock for me because at that point, I haven't played The Last of Us and I had no idea if it was a good game or not. Since I didn't play the game, this announcement gave me the impression that this game is better than God of War, which is a perfect game in my opinion. And for your information, God of War came in second place for the Game of the Decade award. So with this idea in mind, I went into the PS Store to buy the PS4 remastered version of the game. And it turns out that I already have the game because it was offered for free for PS Plus members at some point. So I started playing the game, and after playing the game for a few hours, I felt that the game is very slow paced. And the graphics, although they were good for the time that the game released, they are definitely not better than God of War graphics. So I kept grinding it out because I had the hope that the pacing will pick up, but I was disappointed time and time again, right until I finished the game. I'm not saying that the pacing didn't change, it did change, but it was very minimal. So if anything, the pacing went from very slow to just slow by the end of the game. Now, I gotta give credits to the game, the story and characters are phenomenal. Everything else is just good or decent in today's standards. Now, if we compare The Last of Us to God of War is way better in almost every aspect. I'm not gonna get into details, but to summarize, God of War took everything from The Last of Us and improved it by like 100 times, and the pacing problem is non-existent in God of War. So if anything, God of War should have been first place Game of the Decade, and The Last of Us should have been second. So yeah, that's my opinion. God of War should have been the Game of the Decade. Now, I want to mention that The Last of Us is not a bad game. I think that if I have played The Last of Us before I played God of War, I would have been blown away. But since I played God of War, my expectations have been set extremely high. But what do you think? Feel free to express your opinion in the comment section below. This is what I have for you today. This was the Speed Channel. Peace.